Welcome to my YouTube channel, HEARDBREAK Chronicles, a place where you will hear a large number of fascinating and intriguing chronicles about hearts that are completely broken by female betrayal. Let's not drag on for long. Let's get straight to the point. What if betrayal wasn't the end, but the beginning of something far more twisted and unexpectedly beautiful? What starts as a partnership rooted in shared heartbreak soon takes an unpredictable turn, one that neither of them saw coming. Deception, justice, and love collide in a way you'll never forget. Trust me, you won't see the ending coming. I've read plenty of posts on here thinking, wow, what a dumpster fire of a situation. I never imagined I'd be writing one myself. But here I am, typing this out while sipping a cold beer at 2 a.m., wondering how my life got flipped upside down in the span of just a few weeks. Let me set the stage for you. My name's Mike, I'm 34, and up until recently, I thought I had my life pretty well figured out. I've been married to my wife, Jessica, for 6 years. We weren't perfect, but we were happy, or at least I thought so. You know how it goes. You settle into routines, share inside jokes, and dream about the future. We were talking about starting a family soon. Jessica was my everything. I trusted her more than anyone. But apparently I was a damn fool. Then there's my best friend, Derek. We've known each other since college. He's been my partner in crime for over a decade. If you'd asked me a month ago who I'd trust with my life, Derek would have been at the top of that list. His wife, Anna, and Jessica are close too, so we've all spent a lot of time together. Now, here's where things take a turn. The first signs of trouble. I'll admit, I ignored the red flags at first. I didn't want to believe anything was wrong. But Jessica's behavior started to change, little by little. She became super secretive about her phone. We'd always been pretty casual about it before. Grabbing each other's phones to check the weather or play music wasn't a big deal. But now, if I even glanced at her screen, she'd get defensive and lock it faster than a bank vault. Her work schedule suddenly got insane too. Jessica works in marketing, and sure, it's a busy job, but the late-night meetings and last-minute business trips seemed a little too frequent. "Babe, I've got to stay late at the office again," she'd say, flashing me that sweet smile. At first, I believed her. She's always been ambitious, and I respected that. But then I started noticing other things. She'd come home smelling like cologne that wasn't mine. She'd change the subject whenever I asked too many questions about her day. And worst of all, she stopped looking me in the eye. I tried to convince myself I was imagining things. I didn't want to be that guy, the insecure husband who accuses his wife of cheating just because she's been acting a little weird. But deep down, I knew something was off. How I found out? The truth hit me like a freight train on a random Thursday. I was home early from work, nursing a mild headache and craving a nap. Jessica wasn't expecting me for a few more hours. I walked into the house and heard her voice upstairs, except she wasn't on the phone. She was video chatting, and from the tone of her voice, it wasn't exactly a business call. My curiosity got the better of me, and I quietly made my way up the stairs. Her voice got clearer, and I caught just enough of the conversation to feel my blood turn cold. "I can't wait to see you again. Last night was incredible," she purred. I stopped breathing. Then I heard the other voice. Derek's voice. My best friend's voice. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My stomach churned, and my hands started to shake. I wanted to barge in right then and there, but something stopped me. Maybe it was shock. Maybe it was the need for undeniable proof. So I pulled out my phone and recorded a few seconds of their conversation. I didn't even realize I was crying until I tasted the salt on my lips. The bombshell from Anna. Before I could decide what to do, fate handed me an ally I never expected. Anna. That night, as I sat on the couch, numb and staring at nothing, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Anna. "Hey Mike, can we talk? It's important." We met at a diner the next day. Anna looked like she hadn't slept in days. Her eyes were puffy, her hands fidgeting with her coffee cup. I didn't even have to ask what was wrong. I just knew. "They're having an affair," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I found out 2 weeks ago. I didn't know how to tell you." My head spun. I told her what I'd overheard the day before. For a second, we just sat there, staring at each other in stunned silence. Then, something shifted in Anna's expression. "We can't let them get away with this," she said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned with something fierce. I nodded. "I'm with you. What do you have in mind?" And that, my friends, was the beginning of a plan that would change everything. The plan unfolds. So there we were, sitting in a dingy diner at 11 p.m., plotting revenge like a couple of villains in a B-list thriller. Anna leaned across the table. Her eyes locked on mine with a mix of determination and raw fury. "We're going to make them regret it," she said, her voice steady and cold. And just like that, the plan started to take shape. We weren't interested in petty revenge like slashing tires or screaming at them in public. No, we wanted something bigger, something that would hit them where it really hurt. We agreed to keep things subtle at first. We needed more evidence, something we could use to our advantage when the time was right. Anna and I decided to play it cool, pretend we didn't know a thing, and gather as much dirt as possible. "Let's make them feel comfortable," Anna said with a wicked grin. "The more secure they feel, the harder the fall will be. Playing the long game. The hardest part was pretending nothing was wrong. I had to sit at the dinner table with Jessica and act like I didn't know she was sneaking off to meet Derek. Every time she smiled at me, it felt like a dagger to the chest. The first few days were hell. I wanted to confront her so badly, but I knew that would ruin everything. Instead, I played the role of the clueless husband while Anna worked her magic. She installed a tracking app on Derek's phone while he was in the shower one night. I'm not sure how she pulled it off without him noticing, but Anna's smarter than she looks. The app gave us everything we needed: locations, call logs, texts. Within a week, we had a mountain of evidence. Derek and Jessica weren't even being discreet anymore. They were meeting at hotels, messaging each other late at night, and calling their little fling Destiny. Destiny, can you believe that? The confrontation, round one. I couldn't hold out much longer. One night, Jessica came home late, again, smelling like Derek's cologne. I was sitting on the couch, trying to keep my composure, when she kissed me on the cheek like nothing was wrong. "How was work?" I asked, my voice steady. She hesitated for just a fraction of a second. "Busy. Long day." I smiled. "You must be exhausted. Why don't you take a shower? You smell like men's cologne." Her eyes widened for a split second before she quickly recovered. "Oh, it must have rubbed off from one of my coworkers. You know how close we sit in meetings." "Meetings? Huh? At a hotel, I'm sure." I didn't push it. Not yet. Instead, I texted Anna. "It's almost time." Setting the trap. Anna and I decided to set a trap. A perfect, inescapable moment that would expose everything. It would be messy, brutal, and utterly satisfying. We picked a weekend when Derek and Jessica had planned one of their little secret meetups at a hotel. Anna would lure Derek there under the pretense of a surprise, while I'd confront Jessica. The best part? We were going to record everything. Anna booked a room next to theirs. We had hidden cameras ready, and she convinced Derek to meet her at the hotel, telling him she had a special surprise planned. Meanwhile, I would confront Jessica once they were both in the room. The big moment. The day of the trap, I was a ball of nerves. I kept replaying everything in my head. What I'd say, how she'd react. Anna and I kept in constant contact, coordinating every step. Jessica left the house around 6 p.m., saying she was going out with some friends. I knew exactly where she was going. I waited about 30 minutes before driving to the hotel. Anna texted me, "They're here. Give it 5 minutes, then come up." My heart was pounding as I stepped into the elevator. This was it. The moment of truth. I reached the door of their room and knocked. There was a brief pause, and then Jessica opened the door. The look on her face when she saw me standing there? Priceless. "Mike?" she stammered, glancing over her shoulder. I pushed past her into the room. Derek was sitting on the edge of the bed, his face going pale the second he saw me. "Surprise?" I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "The fallout begins." Jessica tried to talk her way out of it, of course. "Mike, it's not what it looks like. I can explain." "Explain what?" I snapped. Explain how you've been sneaking around with my best friend for months? Go ahead, Jessica. I'm dying to hear this one. Derek stood up, trying to play the peacemaker. Mike, calm down, man. Let's talk about this. But I wasn't interested in talking. I turned to Jessica. How long? She hesitated, her eyes darting around the room. It didn't mean anything. It was a mistake. Anna walked in at that moment, camera in hand. A mistake? Funny how mistakes happen every week at the same hotel, she said, holding up her phone. We've got everything on video, by the way. Jessica's face turned ghost white. Derek just stood there, frozen like a deer in headlights. The fallout, full meltdown. So there we were, all four of us crammed into that cheap hotel room. Me, Jessica, Derek, and Anna, caught in the messiest situation you could imagine. Jessica was stammering, trying to salvage what little dignity she had left, while Derek just stood there, visibly sweating and struggling to come up with an excuse. Anna crossed her arms and smiled, clearly enjoying this moment more than she probably should have. You're awfully quiet, Derek, she said. Cat got your tongue? Jessica looked at me with tears in her eyes, her voice trembling. Mike, please. It's not what it looks like. I wasn't thinking. It just happened. Oh, it just happened? I shot back, sarcasm dripping from my voice. What was it, Jessica? Did you trip and accidentally land in Derek's lap every week for the last 3 months? Derek raised his hands defensively. Look, man, I'm sorry. I never wanted it to go this far. It was a mistake. Okay? We didn't mean to hurt anyone. Anna burst out laughing. A mistake? Oh, you've got jokes now, Derek. That's cute. Did it feel like a mistake when you were booking these hotel rooms on our joint credit card? Both Jessica and Derek froze. It was as if time stopped for a second. Anna was on a roll now, her voice dripping with venom. Yeah, I saw the charges. You're not exactly a criminal mastermind. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? The unraveling. Jessica finally broke down, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry, Mike. I was confused. I didn't mean for it to happen like this. It didn't mean anything, I swear. I crossed my arms, taking a deep breath. Jessica, stop. Just stop. You're only sorry because you got caught. If it didn't mean anything, why did it keep happening? She had no answer for that. Derek, in a desperate attempt to salvage something, tried to appeal to Anna. Babe, can we just... maybe we can work this out. Anna blinked at him, then smirked. Oh, honey, no. There's no working this out. I'm done. You can have all the time in the world to work things out with your lawyer. Derek opened his mouth to respond, but Anna held up a hand. Nope. I don't want to hear it. Consider this your official notice. I'm filing for divorce first thing Monday morning. Jessica's last-ditch effort. Jessica turned back to me, her hands clasped in front of her like she was praying. Mike, please, don't throw everything away over this. We can fix it. We can go to therapy. I'll do whatever it takes. Her sudden desperation caught me off guard for a second. But then I remembered everything. The lies, the secrecy, the betrayal. The emotional roller coaster she'd put me on. I shook my head. Jessica, we've been done for a while. You just made it official. Her face crumpled as the weight of what was happening hit her. Please don't do this. I love you. You loved me, I said bitterly. No, Jessica. You loved the convenience of me. You loved having me around while you did whatever you wanted behind my back. You don't get to cry your way out of this. The walkout. At that point, Anna and I had seen enough. We didn't need any more explanations or apologies. We walked out of that hotel room together, leaving Jessica and Derek to sit in the wreckage of their affair. The second we were outside, Anna exhaled deeply. Well, that was satisfying. I nodded, my pulse still racing. You good. Better than I've felt in weeks, she said with a grin. You? Honestly? Same. We stood there for a minute, letting it all sink in. There was a strange sense of calm settling over me, like I just walked away from a burning building and knew I wasn't going back. The aftermath, plot twist incoming. Anna and I agreed to stay in touch, mostly to keep each other updated on the legal side of things. But what started as a practical arrangement quickly turned into something unexpected. We began hanging out more, first out of convenience, then because it just felt natural. We were both going through the same kind of pain, and somehow that made it easier to be around each other. And then, something changed. I wasn't expecting it, and I sure as hell wasn't looking for it, but I started to notice little things about Anna. The way she laughed. The way she stayed strong despite everything Derek had put her through. I wasn't ready to admit it yet, but something was definitely happening between us. Something new begins. After the hotel confrontation, life got strangely quiet. It felt like the storm had passed, but I was standing in the wreckage trying to figure out what the hell to do next. I filed for divorce, and, as expected, Jessica didn't put up much of a fight. She knew there was no coming back from this. Derek, on the other hand, was losing it. Anna told me he kept blowing up her phone, begging for another chance. She wasn't having it. He made his bed, she told me. Now he can lie in it, alone. Anna and I kept meeting up, at first to update each other on the legal process. It felt good to have someone who understood exactly what I was going through. We'd grab coffee, share stories about our respective disasters, and somehow manage to laugh at how absurd it all was. But somewhere along the way, those coffee meetups turned into dinners. And those dinners turned into late-night conversations that lasted hours. The unexpected twist. I wasn't planning on catching feelings. I mean, who falls for someone right after their life explodes? But Anna was different. She wasn't just smart and funny. She was resilient in a way that I couldn't help but admire. One night, after way too many glasses of wine at her place, we found ourselves sitting on her couch, talking about everything and nothing. You know, she said, swirling her glass, it's kind of ironic, isn't it? We both got betrayed by the people we trusted most, and somehow ended up here together. I smiled. Yeah, life's got a weird sense of humor. There was a long pause, one of those moments where the air feels charged, and you know something's about to happen. I looked at her, and suddenly the world slowed down. Mike, she whispered, leaning just a little closer. And that's when it happened. Our first kiss. It wasn't rushed or awkward, it just felt right. Like something we'd both been holding back for way too long. Complications and doubts. The next morning, I woke up with a mix of emotions. Part of me was happy, hell, more than happy. But the other part couldn't stop thinking about how messy this could get. Was this a rebound thing? Were we just clinging to each other because of everything we'd been through? Or was it something more? I wasn't the only one with doubts. Later that day, Anna called me. We need to talk, she said, her voice serious. My heart sank. Sure. What's on your mind? I like you, Mike. A lot. But is this a terrible idea? I mean, we're both fresh out of disasters. What if we're just setting ourselves up for more heartbreak? She had a point. But something deep down told me this wasn't just some rebound fling. Look, I said. We've already been through the worst. What if this is the start of something good? Something we actually deserve? Anna paused, then laughed softly. You always know how to spin things, don't you? The turning point. We decided to take things slow, no pressure, no expectations. But the more time we spent together, the harder it was to ignore the fact that we had something real. Jessica and Derek, of course, caught wind of it eventually. I'm pretty sure it drove them insane. Derek sent me a snarky text one night. You're really gonna date my ex-wife, man? That's low. I couldn't help but laugh. I replied, coming from the guy who cheated with my wife? You've got some nerve. Jessica wasn't any better. She called me, crying, accusing me of being vindictive. Oh, I'm vindictive? I said, trying not to laugh. Jessica, you had an affair with my best friend. I think you lost the moral high ground a long time ago. Moving forward, over the next few months, things started to fall into place. Anna and I got closer. We weren't just two people who had been burned by the same fire. We were building something new from the ashes. And it felt good. We took a trip out of town together, just to get away from all the chaos. It was a spontaneous road trip, full of bad gas station coffee, blasting old rock songs, and laughing until our stomachs hurt. For the first time in a long time, I felt like myself again. The sweet taste of karma. As for Jessica and Derek, well, karma's a funny thing. Derek lost his job after a scandal at work. Apparently, screwing over the wrong people wasn't limited to his personal life. Jessica tried dating someone new, but it fizzled out pretty quickly. Meanwhile, Anna and I just kept doing our thing, quietly thriving, building something real. After months of keeping things light and slow, Anna and I found ourselves in deeper waters than we expected. What started as a mutual support system after being betrayed by the people closest to us had turned into something genuine, something solid. We didn't just share the same pain. We shared the same sense of humor, the same taste in late-night snacks, and even the same obsession with terrible crime documentaries. We were starting to feel less like two broken people leaning on each other and more like two people who had found the right person at the wrong time, and somehow fate decided to fix its mistake. One evening, after another long day of working through divorce papers and financial headaches, we sat on Anna's balcony with a couple of beers, watching the city lights flicker in the distance. "Mike," she said, her voice softer than usual, "do you ever think about what life would have been like if we'd met under normal circumstances?" I thought about it for a second, then smiled. "Yeah. But then I think, maybe we wouldn't have realized how good we are together if we hadn't been through all that chaos first." She laughed, shaking her head. "Leave it to you to make betrayal sound poetic." But she knew I was right. Sometimes life throws you into chaos so you can end up exactly where you're meant to be. Jessica's breakdown. While things were going great for Anna and me, Jessica was, well, unraveling. She'd call me at random hours, switching between angry rants and tearful apologies. At first, I answered, thinking it might be closure or a way for her to move on. But it quickly became clear that she wasn't looking for closure. She was looking for control. "I can't believe you're with her," she spat during one particularly unhinged phone call. "You're doing this just to hurt me, aren't you?" "No, Jessica," I said calmly. "I'm doing this because Anna's a good person who doesn't lie, cheat, and manipulate people she supposedly loves. You should try it sometime." She hung up after that, but I could feel her unraveling on the other end of the line. I should have felt bad, but I didn't, not even a little. The final blow to Derek. Meanwhile, Derek was having an even harder time. Anna had followed through on her promise to file for divorce, and she wasn't playing around. She had proof of his infidelity, evidence of misuse of their joint finances. Hello? Hotel bills. And a killer attorney on her side. The divorce wasn't just brutal. It was public. Derek lost a lot of credibility at work, and when Anna got a substantial settlement, it hit him where it hurt the most, his bank account. To make things even sweeter, Anna and I decided to throw a small party once both our divorces were finalized. It wasn't a revenge celebration, but we couldn't help but toast to our newfound freedom and brighter future. Taking the next step. A few weeks later, I found myself doing something I hadn't done in years. I started planning a surprise. For Anna, it wasn't anything crazy, just a weekend trip to a quiet cabin in the mountains, away from everything and everyone. No phones, no drama, just us. The weekend was perfect. We spent our days hiking, making dinner together, and talking late into the night by the fire. It was simple, but it was everything we needed. On the last night, sitting under the stars, I looked at her and realized there was no doubt in my mind. "I love you, Anna," I said, the words slipping out easily, like they'd been waiting there all along. Her eyes lit up, and she smiled that slow, warm smile I'd come to love. "I love you too, Mike." Jessica's last attempt. Of course, Jessica couldn't resist one final attempt to stir the pot. Just a week after our mountain trip, she showed up at my place unannounced. "I've changed, Mike," she said, tears welling up in her eyes. "I want to fix this. We can start over." I didn't even hesitate. "Jessica, we're done. We've been done for a long time. You made your choices and I've moved on. You should too." She tried to argue, but it was pointless. I wasn't the same guy she had wrapped around her finger before. Full circle. As I sit here writing this, it's crazy to think how much has changed in the past year. I lost a wife and a best friend, but I gained something far better. A real partner who truly understands me. Anna and I are still taking things one step at a time, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like my life is on the right track. If there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's that sometimes life has a messed up way of redirecting you toward what you actually need. Betrayal hurts like hell, but it also clears the path for something better, if you're willing to see it. The calm before the next storm. For a while, everything was going surprisingly well. Anna and I settled into a comfortable routine, enjoying life without the constant drama and chaos that had plagued us just months earlier. We weren't rushing into anything we didn't have to, but just when you think you've left the storm behind, life finds a way to throw one last curveball at you. And this one, it came in the form of Derek's desperate, pathetic final attempt at revenge. Derek's big comeback plan. One Friday night, I was at Anna's place, helping her set up some shelves in her living room, because apparently, no weekend is complete without assembling IKEA furniture. We were halfway through when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. It read, "You think you've won, but you're going to regret everything." At first, I thought it was just spam or some weird prank, but then another message followed. "Anna isn't who you think she is." I froze, showing the messages to Anna. She rolled her eyes. "It's Derek. He's just mad because his life is falling apart and ours isn't." But Derek wasn't done. The fake scandal. The next day, I got a call from a mutual friend. "Hey man, I don't know how to tell you this, but Derek's been spreading some serious rumors about you and Anna." Apparently, Derek was telling people that Anna and I had been having an affair before our marriages ended. He claimed we were the real cheaters, that everything we said about him and Jessica was a cover-up for our own betrayal. It was laughable, honestly, but people love drama, and Derek knew exactly how to twist the story to make us look bad. Suddenly, I was getting suspicious looks from coworkers, passive-aggressive texts from old friends, and a few very awkward conversations with acquaintances who were just concerned. Anna's genius idea. Anna wasn't the type to sit back and take nonsense like this. After a quick brainstorming session, we decided to beat Derek at his own game, but smarter. "Let's control the narrative," Anna said. "If he wants to play dirty, we'll hit him with the truth so hard he won't know what hit him." We gathered all the evidence we had, texts, emails, photos, everything that proved our story. Then we crafted a post to set the record straight. The bombshell post. The next day, Anna posted it on social media. It was a masterpiece. Calm, factual, and devastatingly thorough. She laid out the timeline of our divorces, the evidence of Derek and Jessica's affair, and a few key receipts that left no doubt about who had been unfaithful first. "We didn't want to air our dirty laundry," Anna wrote, "but since certain people are spreading lies, we feel it's time to share the truth. Here's what really happened." Within hours, the post went viral in our social circles. Friends who had doubted us were suddenly backpedaling, messaging us with apologies. Derek's carefully crafted narrative fell apart almost instantly. Derek's downfall. It didn't take long for everything to catch up with Derek. His reputation was in shambles, and with the divorce already draining his finances, he had no way to bounce back. His work contacts dried up, and a few of his remaining friends dropped him after realizing how toxic he was. Jessica, she stayed quiet through the whole thing. I think even she was too embarrassed to defend him at that point. Sweet, sweet closure. For Anna and me, the whole ordeal was exhausting, but it also felt like the last step in closing that chapter of our lives. We'd finally cleared the air and left no room for doubt about who the real villains were. One night, as we sat on her balcony with a bottle of wine, Anna raised her glass. "To karma," she said with a grin, "and to moving the hell on." I laughed, clinking my glass against hers. To karma, a new beginning. After everything we'd been through, it felt like we'd finally earned some peace. We started talking about bigger plans, moving in together, maybe even starting fresh in a new city. For the first time in what felt like forever, the future looked bright. A fresh start. After everything blew over, life slowly started to settle into a new kind of normal. Anna and I decided it was time for a clean slate, away from the tangled web of past relationships and toxic people. We moved to a new city, nothing too far away, but far enough that we could breathe. A fresh start with no whispers of old drama and no Derek or Jessica lurking around the corner. It was exactly what we needed. The first few weeks felt like a dream. We found a cozy little house in a quiet neighborhood, unpacked boxes while blasting old rock music, and laughed until we couldn't breathe over the most ridiculous things. Moving in together. Living together was surprisingly easy. There were no awkward adjustment phases. Just two people who genuinely loved spending time together. Anna turned the house into a home almost overnight. She had this talent for making everything feel warm and inviting, and before I knew it, the place was filled with plants, soft blankets, and little reminders of how far we'd come. One night, as we sat on the floor surrounded by half-assembled furniture and take-out boxes, Anna looked at me and said, "Can you believe this is our life now?" I smiled, pulling her close. "Honestly, it's better than anything I could have imagined." A surprise twist. Fast forward a few months, and things were still going great. We both had new jobs, new routines, and a growing circle of new friends. But then something happened that neither of us saw coming. One night, Anna called me into the living room, her face a mix of excitement and nerves. "I have something to tell you," she said, holding up a small envelope. My heart skipped a beat. "What's that?" She handed me the envelope, and inside was a note. Written in Anna's handwriting were the words, "You're going to be a dad." For a second, I just stared at the note, my brain trying to catch up. Then it hit me. "Wait, seriously?" Anna nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "Seriously, a new chapter begins." I pulled her into a hug, laughing through the shock and excitement. "We're having a baby? We're having a baby?" she repeated, smiling through her tears. In that moment, everything, the betrayal, the heartbreak, the chaos, felt like a distant memory. It was still there, of course, but it didn't matter anymore. We'd built something new, something stronger. Looking back, moving forward. It's funny how life works. A year ago, I thought my world was falling apart. I thought I'd lost everything that mattered. But now I realize it was just clearing the way for something better, something real. Anna and I are still figuring things out one day at a time, but we're happy, truly happy. And with a baby on the way, our story is far from over. If you've made it this far, here's the one piece of advice I'll leave you with. Sometimes life has to break you before it can rebuild you. Don't cling to the things that hurt you out of fear. Let them go, and trust that something better is waiting on the other side. The end and a new beginning. That's it. Reddit. Thanks for coming along on this wild ride. I never thought I'd be writing the final chapter of my story with Anna by my side. But life has a way of surprising you. Oh, and if Derek or Jessica ever stumbles across this post, we're doing just fine without you. Thank you very much for listening to this story to the end. I hope you liked. We work for you, looking for and telling you the most effective stories about women's betrayal, shocking intrigue, interweaving the plot and unexpected reactions of angry men. Save us, put likes, write comments, and, of course, subscribe to the channel to not miss any story.